Trump's Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, may have made dozens, if not more, illegal donations to Republicans over the past generation. That's what's basically being alleged by the New York Times and the Washington Post in a new piece of reporting. Basically, Louis DeJoy was operating as a straw donor, as a straw man. And what that basically means is that he is getting other people to make donations and then reimburse those people. And the reason you do that is because on an individual basis, there are contribution limits, and there's a benefit to having donations look like they're more diverse than there really are. So what you do is you get someone with money who basically compels people to donate. Those people get a check back for their money. It looks like 2 or 3 or 4 different people donated to a candidate, when in reality, that didn't really happen, and it's just 1 or 2 people writing really big checks, but filtering it through others. That's what Louis DeJoy apparently did. At least that's what's being alleged through his old logistics company, New Breed Logistics, one of the companies he worked at before he became Postmaster General. And as the article notes, it's not always 100% clear that he told people explicitly, donate to these candidates, donate to these Republicans, or I'll fire you, or donate to these people and I'll give you a bonus. But at least in some cases, some people have said it was explicit, that if you donate this amount of money, I'll reimburse you and give you a little bit extra, or it'll curry favor with you at the company if you make a donation to particular Republicans. Here's one example from the article that really shows that this smells a lot more like a conspiracy to basically break electoral law, fundraising law, than any kind of coincidence. A review of campaign finance records show that over a dozen management level employees at New Breed would routinely donate to the same candidate on the same day, often writing checks for an identical amount of money. That's not a coincidence, right? If you had a bunch of people at a company making different donations of different amounts on different days to the same candidates or similar candidates, you might say that's interesting, but, maybe people of a different ideological persuasion belong at the company. But it continues. On one day in October 2014, for example, 20 mid-level and senior officials at the company donated a total of $37,600 to the campaign of Senator Thom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, who was running to unseat a Democratic incumbent. Each official wrote a check for either $2,600, the maximum allowable donation, or $1,000. And I don't know about the distinction. Maybe the people that wrote $1,000 had already made individual donations on their own accord, and of course then couldn't max donate. But you see what's happening here. People are donating very even amounts. They're either giving the max, which is what, of course, you might expect a straw person to do. They want to maximize the political influence, so they find as many people they can to give them exactly $2,600 to donate, and then reimburse them exactly $2,600. Look, Louis DeJoy is innocent until proven guilty, of course, but this really does look like a senior Trump official, the person now in charge of the post office, someone close to Trump in the Republican Party, was systematically violating election finance law in North Carolina and broadly defined. It's a very, very serious claim. And this is more than enough evidence in the court of public opinion, where a preponderance of evidence, supersedes, reasonable doubt, that this man is guilty. Any reasonable person looking at this, any reasonable person, again, not in a court of law, but in the court of common sense, knows that Louis DeJoy, the current Postmaster General, most likely, at least as alleged, systematically violated election law to enrich Republican campaigns at the expense of Democrats, using his employees at his business through a mixture of maybe carrots and sticks. And this matters for a couple key reasons, really three key reasons. Any violation of electoral finance law, especially by the rich and wealthy and well-connected, needs to be stamped out. The election system is already skewed in favor of the rich, and they try to skew it even further. That causes distrust in the system, and you need to hold those people accountable and make examples out of them. Number two, when Louis DeJoy was in front of the House of Representatives, in front of Congress a couple weeks ago, being asked questions by various people, he was asked this basic question. Did you basically act as a straw person? Did you, give people money to donate and then reimburse them, effectively circumventing maximum contribution limits? And he said no, and he acted so offended by it. And now we see at least there's some strong evidence. And third, and maybe most important, given the context, because the first two are basically a distrust of the system and perjury, the third is that this guy is in charge of the post office. And if he is willing to not only be very partisan in favor of Republicans, but specifically to break the law for Republican Party officials, for the health of the Republican Party coffers, would he not be willing to do whatever it takes to help Trump wreck the post office with the view towards skewing the election results? If this is a guy that would already bend, if not break, electoral rules to give Republicans every last little edge to, for instance, write a whole bunch of extra $2,600 checks to give them out to people so that you could triple or quadruple or quintuple or whatever amount your donation, why is it unreasonable to assume that he would hurt the post office's ability to filter mail? That he would hurt the post office's ability to handle the increased amount of mail-in ballots? That he would, for instance, remove mailboxes? That he would, for instance, shut down mail sorting machines? What we have right now is a lot of smoke. And in a legal sense, again, this guy has a right to a jury of his peers, to a court case that could determine whether he's innocent or guilty. But in any reasonable assertion, we have a man who made illegal donations to the Republican Party and now is helping Donald Trump make illegal attacks on the Postal Service to basically distort the election. He needs to resign. He needs to be subpoenaed. I think he should probably be detained by Congress until they can determine more information. This guy is a threat to democracy, past, present, and future.